Hello, everyone. Welcome to Aspheric TV Political Update. Today, we'll be looking at the possibility of having an independent candidate come 2023 presidential election. I have a guest in the studio with me, but before I get to introduce him, we'll take a quick break. And when we return, the program continues. Stay tuned.
Do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Turn on the notification button to get notified on our videos. Thank you.
Welcome back. It's still your favorite program, Political Update on Aspheric TV. My name is Clinton Offro. Today, we'll be looking at the possibility of having an independent candidate come 2023 presidential election. I have a guest in the studio with me, Mr. Collins Oporozo, all the way from Owerri, who is a political scientist. Mr. Collins, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
All right, there have been modalities the Senate are working on to ensure there is an independent candidate come 2023 presidential election. They're working on the modalities to give such person legal backings. This definitely means that an independent candidate can run for election without using the platform of any political party. Do you think this is the way forward for Nigeria?
I really don't think it's the way forward for the country because having an independent candidate, of course, is in contradistinction to having a political party sponsored candidate. There are two opposing variables. For instance, a political party sponsors you to run for a public office and makes you the flag bearer, having emerged from their primaries. On the other hand, we are looking at a reality that will entail that you don't need a political party to stand for an elective position. As you are Clinton, you can come out, design your posters, and on the election day, your face will be on the ballot and people will choose you without being sponsored by a political party. I really don't think this is the way forward because if you check in other countries where they have independent candidates, you also know that they hardly win elections. If you say, okay, we should emulate what is happening in the United States of America to begin to operate a system of independent candidacy, that would be beautiful. But we are talking about the viability of such independent candidates, their electability and their electoral value. That's what we're talking about. So let me give you an instance. You know that to become governor of a state, you only need to be 35 years. How many people have won election to be governor at the age of 35 years? That shows you that beyond that legal backing that a 35-year-old boy can be governor, there are so many other fundamental encumbrances that make it impossible for a 35-year-old not to be a governor. And what is it? You're talking about now the economic base of the society. You know why political party is very relevant. It's not just because they articulate ideas and formulate their principles and have an ideology about what to do when they get office, but most importantly, they mobilize resources to sponsor their candidate to office. In a situation we have independent candidacy, who is likely not going to muster enough resources as a candidate to be sponsored by a political party is dead on arrival. Is dead on arrival. And let me tell you, most of the people that we like to operate within that framework of independent candidacy are, so to say, in quotes, the credible Nigerians, the people that have integrity. They wouldn't want to be soiled by the, how can I put it, the corruption within the political formations. So they want to run on their own. In that instance, they are going to also face massive rigging from the political machine because I am being realistic about the analysis. Because what you have in a political system is that even the person running for an election being sponsored by a political party does not sufficiently know what happens on election day. The party machinery decides to do whatever they want for him to get into office because he is just like their access. It's just like their route to power and to the state funds. So what they do is...
Now, let me come in. Let me come in. There's a perception that political parties have failed Nigerians over the years. And this is why a lot of people are clamoring for an independent candidacy, citing reasons for bad governance. Are you on the same page with them?
I am not on the same page with them for obvious reasons, and I will tell you. If political parties developed Great Britain and political parties developed the United States of America, even the, so to say, progressive nations in Africa are also being run on the basis of party system. How come Nigeria cannot be developed by political parties? That tells you that there is something we have not done. That is the issue of consciousness. Those credible people that think they can develop Nigeria feel they are too clean to identify with the party system. Let me give you an instance. Nobody owns APC. Nobody owns PDP. Nobody owns ABGA. Nigerians own these parties. If, for instance, the total membership of APC registered is 5 million, and there are 5 million corrupt people, and APC in power, it means that corruption will reign. Why not 20 million incorruptible Nigerians collapse into APC, upstage the 5 million corrupt people, and take over power on the basis of APC? That is the issue. So we have not really realized, we have not really gotten this consciousness that these political parties do not belong to Ahmed Tinubu. They do not belong to Goodluck Jonathan. They don't belong to Buhari. They belong to you and I. So if we feel that we seek power, why not us join those political parties, slug it out with them, go to your various wards? One thing our youths really don't understand is that they can go back to their villages, struggle to become the ward chairman, become the local government chairman of the party, become a member of the state exco of the party, and they struggle to be the governor of the state. So if we talk about independent candidacy, looking at the realities of political office seeking, the resources that entails, and also the logistical base of winning an election, you understand that an independent candidate may not fly in Nigeria, just as it does not fly elsewhere.
Okay. Now, the agitations are coming from the youths because of the NSAS protests, which was marred with irregularities. Do you think the youths have what it takes to address this nation using any platform?
Thank you so much. You know, there has been this misconception about what really transpired during the NSAS protest. It was not marred by irregularities. Some of us that really believed in the NSAS agitation actually participated in the peaceful protests. We were in the street. We saw what happened. We were organized.
Can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Collins. Can you hear me? Oh, we lost Mr. Collins. Okay, I'll go to our social media platforms to actually read out reactions from some Nigerians who commented over the topic we are discussing. Mr. Alozie Ikechukwu from Owerri says, I don't see the possibility of having an independent candidacy. Political parties remain the platform. Hello, Mr. Collins, are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, I'll continue. So you said the NSAS protest was not marred with irregularities, but it was later hijacked.
Yes, it was actually it wasn't marred by irregularities. The young Nigerians that came out to express themselves and to condemn police brutality, they actually played by the rules. They were peaceful, they conducted themselves in an orderly manner. But what happened was, we have a regime in this country that felt go out of hand. And then again, it was giving ethnic coloration that people from the south wanted to take over power from Muhammadu Buhari. Then they had to unleash all manner of hoodlums that even endangered the lives of the people protesting. And as at the violence, the arson, the looting and all of that started, the peaceful protesters had left the streets. So more or less, it was engineered by the authorities to chase away the anti-SARS protesters. That was what happened. So it wasn't actually mad, it was hijacked by the authorities in order to quell the so-called insurrection that they felt it was.
Now, looking at the answers and the consequences that came out from the protest, the youths are regaining consciousness politically, looking at the possibility of addressing or presiding over the affairs of the nation. Do they have such a local standing?
Sure, they have the local standard because by virtue of being a citizen, you have the stake in your country. But what we are looking at is a broader issue of participation. You notice that the NSAS protest has fizzled out. Everybody has gone back to their comfort zones. And it may not really, that's my fear. I fear that the whole gains we have recorded through this protest may not really yield in a higher increased electoral participation by the youths. And that is where the problem comes in. If you check the age geography of people that participate in elections on election day, they're mostly people above 60 years. They're mostly people above 60 years. They're aged. And let me tell you, you don't blame them for voting for people that share salt and give them noodles and give them rice, because that's their definition of a good leader. These old women are hungry, they are poor, they are virtually doing nothing in their rural areas. So when you give them rice and give them wrapper, by their own definition, you are the best leader, and you don't blame them. That's the level of their political exposure and awareness. When youths that have gone to school, when youths that have gained exposure, when youths that are aware of how things are done elsewhere begin to participate, they now begin to raise the bar. They begin to understand and put in power people that really have plans for the future, people that really can make Nigeria that elsewhere they are referring to almost always. So that is it. But what I'm talking about in terms of 2023 is that our youth have gone out to protest and they have gone in again to sleep. How many youth organizations are making efforts to take over control of political parties? How many of them? And it begins from that. If youth do not begin now to prepare themselves, coalitions, take over leadership, because that is where it starts. You need the ticket of a party for you to stand elected into a public office. And now our youth are not designing any framework for making sure that even if a minor political party is hijacked by them, or one of those dominant political parties, or all of the parties are taken over by them, so that when it's election time, they can field a youth. If they don't start from these basics, they will still not achieve anything. These party machineries will still give tickets to the highest bidder, to the billionaires who have always been in office and who have been looting public funds, and then who have been reinforcing their reign through looted funds. So that is it. If the youths do not go into political party system now and begin to take over the party structures, they cannot achieve anything by 2023.
Okay. As someone from the Southeast extraction, do you think the Southeast have what it takes to get the presidential slot?
Power is not given. I'm sorry to sound this way. I actually understand the grievances of my kinsman Ndibo, and I know that the scheme of things, especially as it pertains to the presidency of the country, even the Namdazikiwe that we had there was ceremonial. So I would say technically the only Igbo man that has been president of Nigeria, although under military arrangement, was Agi Ironsi. Igbo has never had it.
Hello, Mr. Collins.
The people that were at the forefront in the struggle for independence, the people that invested everything to make Nigeria a sovereign nation, even when Nnamdi Azikiwe, Nwaforis and co were fighting for independence, the North did not believe in independence. Believe that Ndi Igbo having 60 years later, an Igbo man has not been valid. I can hear you.
Okay, continue.
Okay, I believe that if 60 years later an Igbo man has not been elected president of Nigeria, it's an injustice of unthinkable proportion. But even at that, power is still not given. Power is taken. What efforts are Igbo making to take power? I can tell you that our leaders, politicians, and statesmen from the East are only self-serving. What you hear them talk about is party, PDP, APC, whether they will pick me as running mate. What makes you think that you are less equal? What makes an Igbo politician think that he cannot actually go into the race and mobilize public opinion, mobilize Nigerians across board, and win the election. It is time our people should part company with this issue of tribal mentality. I'm Igbo, I cannot be president. An Igbo man can be president. We must look beyond ethnic.
Sorry, in your own opinion, what do you consider to be the remedy?
The remedy number one is that Ndị Igbo must gain the consciousness that they are equal stakeholders in Nigeria. That's one. You must begin to realize that a man from Sokoto is no more qualified to rule Nigeria than a man from Anambra. And when we get that consciousness, the second thing is that we must be able to eschew partisanship. Partisanship in the sense that, maybe let me give an instance. Ojo Sokale is coming out from APC. Oh, these APC people. Then another PDP man begins to fight him. If you see the way Fulanis go about power, they place less emphasis on partisanship. That's it. So for Ndị Igbo to get the presidency of Nigeria, they must place less emphasis on partisanship and the more on the Igbo agenda. So that if an Igbo man emerges even through ABGA, we begin to negotiate with ABGA. That's the way it's done. But you know, ABGA has always been the fielding candidate, but has never made a headway. Because our people are so fixated with partisanship. It's not done that way. If you check what has been playing out, if the North wants power, they can use any party to get it. They've gotten party with Yaradua in PDP. They got with Buhari in APC. What does that tell you? That they are not beholden to a political party. They're only beholden to their interest, which is power. So if Ndị Igbo must get it,
are you in any way suggesting for a regional party in the Southeast?
We already have one. We already have ABGA, which our people have failed to solidify. They have failed to grow. They have failed to groom. If we had it, what ABGA could have done for us might not really be to elect an Igbo president, but to negotiate for Igbo presidency. Because in party politics, you must bring something to the table. If ABGA should decide to merge with another formation in the West and another formation in the North and negotiate, and Igbo man goes to presidency through that. That's the way it's done. So, but they've not been able to make ABGA tick in the East. I remember the former governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha, when he left ABGA, he said ABGA was dead. This was the party that made him governor. This was the most unpatriotic statement I could have ever heard from an Igbo politician. A party that brought you from nowhere, made you governor, and fought for you. The national chairman of the party, then Victor Ume, came down to Mbitoli and war tag and was a pull agent just to make sure that he produced a governor in Imo State. And you left the party and said he was dead. So these are some of the things we have in Igbo politicians.
Okay, on a final note, do you think there is a possibility of having a younger person as president of the country?
I really don't see the possibility in 2023, even though I wish it happens. Having a young, to govern Nigeria is a very difficult task. It needs a lot of experience. It needs a lot of exposure to hold together a country of 200 million people with almost 500 ethnic formations. It's not a child's play. It's not a child's play. And then again, Nigeria has not been able to evolve a national ideology. Nigeria has not been able to, that's what you call fetishize. Nigeria has not been able to create an ideology before which everybody can bow. So we are still not a nation. We are still not citizens of the country. We are all members of different communal groups who congregate and answer Nigerians for convenience sake. To have a president, that person must have exposure and experience to the extent that he can manage the differences, the acrimonies, the misunderstandings, and still hold Nigeria relatively together. If you notice, one of the mistakes of Muhammad Buhari, yes, which has collapsed his government, because the government is a colossal failure. In the history of Nigeria, I've not seen a government that failed as that of Muhammad Buhari. And one of his greatest mistakes was to place his ethnic nationality, the Fulani, over and above other ethnic formations. And now you're having Oduduwa people calling for their own independence. You're having Niger Delta militants training anytime they can strike. You are having Biafra, and the worst is that they think that it's only IPOB that is fighting for the independence of Biafra. No. You have the Lower Niger Congress wanting to even tear Middle Belt apart. You have the Biafra independence. You have all of them. So they were created by the regime of exclusivity of Muhammad Buhari.
Mr. Thank you very much. This is where we calling a wrap on the program. I so much appreciate your time on Aspheric TV Political Update. We hope to get you on our subsequent editions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you.
All right. You just listened to Mr. Collins Okorozo, who is a political scientist all the way from Imo State. This is where we call it a wrap on the program. Don't forget to go to our social media platforms to follow us. Thank you very much. I remain your chief host, Clinton Offram, saying bye for now.
Do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel.